Hi everyone, I am Pratima and this is the Samsung Galaxy J8 review. Now what we know about the Samsung J series is that it is one of the most value for money smartphones. I have used the J7 Max and J7 Pro last year and those were pretty good smartphones. But in 2018, there is a fierce competition in the mid-range price segment. With Chinese brands like Xiaomi, Oppo and Huawei trying to give the best for the price, can the Samsung Galaxy J8 stand out against its rivals? Can it provide value for money like its predecessors? Let's find out in this review. So starting off with the design, the Galaxy J8 looks good despite its plastic bag. There's a metallic frame and the metallic coating on the bag that makes it appear premium. Even while holding and during use, the handset gives the impression of a metallic build. The phone also has curvy edges on the sides, which adds comfort in usage and offers a firm grip. The phone never slipped from my hands during my usage in the entire review period. What's unique here is the location of the speaker, which is located in a weird place on the right. The audio quality from the speaker is average and it's not very loud either. There's a fingerprint sensor on the back, which is a little bit slow to my liking. On the front, you get a huge 6-inch display. It's surrounded by narrow bezels on the top and bottom, but there's no curved glass on the sides. Samsung likes to call it infinity display since it comes with 18.5:9 aspect ratio, but I quite don't understand the concept of infinity display. I mean, you get the infinity display on the Note 9 and S9 Plus, and that cannot be compared with J8's display. I think Samsung should call the displays in its mid-range smartphones by a different name. Like with every Samsung phones, you get a Super AMOLED panel that has good color reproduction, deeper blacks and brighter whites. So I didn't have any issues related to color accuracy and vibrancy. However, I was disappointed with the resolution being only HD. I mean, last year's J7 Max, J7 Pro and J7 Prime had full HD displays, so I don't understand why Samsung is keeping an HD display in 2018. But even so, the AMOLED panel works well. I had no issues while watching videos, playing games and surfing the web whatsoever. To my surprise, I did not notice any pixilation in the display or any lag in sharpness. However, a full HD panel would have been better considering the price tag. However, good news is that the smartphone offers good brightness levels. I had no problems while viewing the contents even on a bright sunny day. Turning the outdoor mode on amplifies the display illumination to a maximum value, so I could easily view the display even in a flooded light situation. However, the absence of ambient light sensor is another aspect where Samsung compromises. You need to manually adjust the brightness level every now and then, and it could be annoying at times. I mean, come on Samsung, adding that little feature can make the user experience so much better. Software-wise, the Galaxy J8 runs on Android Oreo out of the box. Like always, Samsung's own Experience UI comes with tons of bloatware. I found most of the bloatware flimsy, so uninstalling or disabling them was the first thing I did when I got the review unit. However, I grew quite fond of the S Health app. Since I don't have any smartwatch or a fitness tracker to monitor my daily activities, I trusted the S Health app to monitor the number of steps I walked or the amount of calories I burned in any given day. It's not a hardcore exercise regime, but this is good enough. The inclusion of a game launcher, dual messenger, blue light filter, multi-window feature, ultra power saving and ultra data mode are some other welcome additions in the UI. So except for those cluttered bloatware, I was fairly impressed with the Samsung UI. Samsung mostly has the best camera on mid-range smartphones. The Galaxy J8 features a dual camera setup which comprises of a 16-megapixel primary lens backed by the 5-megapixel depth sensor. It seems like the sole purpose of the dual cameras was to capture portrait images, so I had to put that to a test and I must say that I was very impressed. It has excellent edge detection, due to which bokeh effects look quite good. And like always, Samsung has also added the feature to adjust the amount of blur and focus area after taking the shots. In addition, this time Samsung has included the feature to change the blurred backdrop from normal to crystal, pixel, time slice and crumbled options. I found this feature really handy as it adds new taste in the mainstream bokeh effect. Furthermore, there is also the portrait dolly feature, which basically creates 3 seconds videos from the portrait images where the subject is zoomed in or zoomed out with the segregated background. Talking about normal shots, the device captures images with substantial details and good amount of color reproduction. Even on the HDR side, the smartphone does a fine job. It captures HDR shots, preserving the details of the highlights and shadows quite well, and I have no complaints here. However, low-light shots were not that impressive. They get quite a lot of noise and grains, so the images do not look very good. But when compared side by side with a more expensive Nova 3i, the J8 does a better job in low-light shots. The 16-megapixel selfie pictures on ample light come out great with good amount of details and color accuracy. The beauty mode also works quite well by removing the facial blemishes and acne. But selfie focus is the most exciting feature here. With this feature, it captures portrait selfies with blurred backgrounds. Although it's not as good as the rear cameras because there is only one camera at the front and the blur effect is done by the software, but in ample lighting conditions, the pictures do look fine. As for the videos, the J8 captures Full HD videos at 30 FPS from both the front and the rear cameras. Videos from the phone look okay at best. Since the phone lacks image stabilization, captured videos look kinda shaky. Also, the jittery autofocus is really unpleasant. The Samsung Galaxy J8 is powered by Snapdragon 450 chipset along with 4GB of RAM. The presence of this mediocre chipset has bugged me since day one. I mean, this chipset is found on budget devices and Samsung's decision to put this in its mid-range phone is not really a very good choice. However, since the chipset only has to power an HD display, the performance of this phone was not that bad. Using multiple apps and multitasking ran smoothly and there were no lags while switching between them. Even while playing mid-level games, there were no stutters and drop in frame rates. I played Asphalt 9, Dead Trigger 2 and Shadowgun Legends, all of which ran with good frame rates at medium settings. But with those set to high, you will notice lags every now and then. And when you compare its performance with, let's say, the Redmi Note 5 AI or the Oppo F7, the performance of the Samsung Galaxy J8 falls short by a very good margin. I mean, just have a look at these benchmark comparisons. On the storage side, the J8 packs an ample 64GB inside. Also, you can expand the storage up to 256GB with a dedicated micro SD card slot as well. With a 3500 mAh battery coupled with lower power consuming hardware and internals, the J8 easily provided me more than a day under normal usage. So during the review period, I was thoroughly impressed by the battery performance. And since there are various power saving options, I could even prolong the backup. So with the J8, I did not have to bother about charging the handset very often. Despite that impressive backup, charging was a pain in the neck. The stock charger of the smartphone is rated 5V 1.5 amps, which takes slightly over 3 hours to get the battery fully charged. To sum it up, the Samsung Galaxy J8 has impressive cameras, both front and back. I mean, these are comparable to the pricier Nova 3i and the Oppo F9. The battery is good enough and will last you for an entire day. The build quality, although it's plastic, is very sturdy and the AMOLED panel gives you good brightness levels and color reproduction. However, the choice of the Snapdragon 450 chipset is just not right. I mean, they should have gone for the Exynos 7885 or the Snapdragon 636 chipset. And also, I think a 1080p display is mandatory for a phone at this price range. With OLED packs, I think the Samsung Galaxy J8 is for general users who want something of everything. As it does not have anything in particular that makes it stand out, I think it is for average users and not for someone who's looking for power performance. So that is all for the Samsung Galaxy J8 review. Tell us what you think of the device in the comment section below. I am Pratima Adhikari and I'll see you soon.